Hello, my YouTube viewers. Here we are with another Diecast pickup video. And boy, do we have quite the haul right here. First, let's start off with Jason Leffler's 2001 Singular Wireless paint scheme that he drove back in 2001 when he was I think he was a rookie. It's strange to me how there's no rookie stripes. I've been looking for this car for years on a cheap price, and it was like $8, so I decided finally I got it for a reasonable price, and then I went for it and bought it as soon as I could. So I finally have it in my collection. Next is Ryan Blaney's Dex imaging scheme. I saw it for a cheap price at, I believe it was Target, and I decided, I said to myself I wouldn't get any more 2020 cars because of my ire towards this garbage package, but hey. It is the first year of Chase Elliott's Dynasty campaign, so what the hell. Might as well commemorate a year where my main active man anyways, is starting his rise to power. Speaking of powerful men of mine, Jeff Gordon's 50th career win at Talladega. This wasn't, not to be confused with the Talladega race where Dale Earnhardt Sr. won his last win. This was where Jeff Gordon won the spring race. It's a pretty slick on the early 2000s body. Jeff Gordon may not have had the most stellar year in 2000, but he was still able to pick up 3 wins. It was at best a Chase Elliott 2019-like season, which is pretty okay for me. Still would have preferred more wins, but hey, Bobby Labonte won that championship, so I have nothing against him on that one. Next is Jeff Gordon's Dale Earnhardt Sr. tie-breaking victory at Talladega, which is I think the second race where, after the 04 race where he got a whole bunch of cushions, cans, and toilet paper thrown at him. Talladega officials threatened that fans would get arrested if they completely trashed the speedway, and go figure. Talladega lived up to their words, and a lot of fans were indeed arrested in 2007. And not to mention, they should have lived by the words of Bob Jenkins when he said, anybody who throws trash on the track isn't a race fan, they are a race idiot. Perhaps they should have taken advice from Bob Jenkins, one of the best commentators of all time. And it was, in fact, my first impression of a commentator when I first played the video games, NASCAR video games, and I heard Bob Jenkins and BP's voice all the time in the booth while I was racing. So yeah, pretty slick looking right there. It would look nice being hung up on my wall. My buddy Crad did a video on the other day unboxing the 1/24 scale of this car, so here I am with the 1/64 scale version of it. Next, here we go with some of the gimmicks where they put the cars in soda or beer cans or other such props. First, let's go through, I believe this is the paint scheme that Jeff Gordon ran at the 2002 Pepsi 400. Sorry about my camera fail. Right here, that's a pretty darn slick scheme as opposed to just the blue base with the Pepsi logos and then no other details. This time it has the American flag with fireworks on the hood and the Pepsi right behind the 24 logo. Really highly detailed in comparison to the previous Pepsi schemes. Would look pretty sick to have in my collection. Here's the original scheme that Sterling Marlin had when he raced the I believe The same race he drove this paint scheme was also the same race that Jimmie Johnson got his first ever career win at Fontana. Right here. Instead of the silver bullet, they should call this one the golden bullet. It looks damn cool. 2002 was indeed a stellar season for Sterling Marlin. It just was unfortunately cut short by a heartbreak at Kansas when he had that terrible crash that broke his neck, and he was out for the remainder of the season. It really, really does suck. Alright, moving on. Jimmy McMurray's Bad Boy scheme. I believe he ran this somewhere mid-2013. I'm having trouble remembering what particular race it was, but all I remember is that it was quite the stellar scheme. And hey, it was also the scheme ran the same year I saw Jimmie Johnson win his 6th championship in person. The next is Brad Keselowski's Salute scheme that he ran in the 2013 Coca-Cola 600. Unfortunately, as I recall, he wrecked with this scheme with Danica Patrick. Or Dana Crash Patrick. Next is, I think Jamie McMurray ran this at the Coke Zero 400 or Coca-Cola 600. Having a hard time jogging my memory on that one as well. Next is a scheme that I believe I saw in person at the Bank of America 500. Of course, I most likely have seen the scheme, and I do remember a scheme like this on the track because, of course, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Speaking of cars I saw at the Bank of America 500, here's the State Water Heaters scheme driven by Kurt Busch in 2014, which is basically the same as his standard scheme, but with the orange colors. I mean, I saw it in person. Normally I don't collect schemes that are the same, but hey, I saw it in person, so why not? Next is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2014 Pocono victory scheme. Michael Baker, where he held off Kevin Harvick to sweep at Pocono, which is not what you'd expect out of a guy like Dale Earnhardt Jr., especially at a track like Pocono. 2014 was like the first season since 2004 where Dale Earnhardt Jr. won more than once, which really has said a lot about how much he was screwed out of so many victories, and essentially the poor state he was in when Teresa Earnhardt was a complete stuck-up bitch and couldn't manage anything worth a damn, and just had all sorts of crew chief troubles that Andrew goes towards. Next is a scheme that I believe I saw at Dover in 2015. Jimmie Johnson won that race too, so I decided, what the hell, I'll buy that scheme. Even though 2015 wasn't one of the best seasons for NASCAR ever, I still like to commemorate the races that I saw in person, especially if it was the race won by Jimmie Johnson, not to sound biased. And here are the two Justice League schemes I saw in person at Texas. Shitty movie, but good paint schemes nonetheless. I saw him at Texas Motor Speedway in 2017. It was like the peak of NASCAR's decent, overall decent racing season, so why not? Then again, the last two races of 2020 do give me hope for 2021 and make the low horsepower races a lot more ignorable, and I don't want to say bearable because that implies that no talent races are easy to tolerate, which they are not. Next is a scheme that Hoover and I saw at Loudon 2019. Shitty year. Race wasn't all that shitty except for the final stage. The final stage, I meant to say the final stage was actually fun to watch. The first two stages were blah, as there were only competitions for passing when they hit lap traffic. But hey, the quality of the racing picked up the final stage, and that's at least all that matters. I remember being very up close to this particular paint scheme at Loudon when I had the pit passes with my buddy Hoover. We have pictures of said scheme, or pictured scheme, nonetheless. Chase Elliott unfortunately had a piss poor finish that race, but it was still cool to see this paint scheme in person. Next is a scheme that Kyle Larson ran at Kansas in 2018. I saw it for a cheap price, and I had an abundance of money, so I thought, what the hell? And I pretty much buried my hatchet with Kyle Larson, so I didn't see any harm in collecting another diecast from his 2018 series of 2018 schemes. 2018 was not one of the better seasons, but he was up there for the most part in contending for race wins, especially 2018 Chicagoland. I say he's still in the better place at Hendrick Motorsports, since he has shown that he's a lot better than where he is. Next is the essentially the World War Champions scheme that I believe Clint Boyer ran this at Talladega, so I decided to buy, since it was the first race since my cat Gary, my beloved cat, unfortunately passed away, and it was the race where Ryan Blaney won in a photo finish against Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And that was a great moment, bittersweet moment for me, because I was still grieving over my cat and my dog nonetheless, and Ryan Blaney was there to provide some fun, and I couldn't have been happier with Ryan Blaney winning that race. And I would just want to say the whole undefeated since 1776, unless if you're referring to all the wars in general, you're kind of missing that we were defeated at Vietnam. So if this is talking just in terms of world wars, then yes, but all wars in general, not really. So technically undefeated since 1975. 199 years after the birth of our country. Next is Ryan Blaney's throwback scheme to Paul Menard, and I believe in the ARCA race. And I think that Paul Menard drove this scheme in the 2003 Busch Series. I remember seeing it in the PS2 NASCAR games a lot, so I believe Paul Menard must have ran this scheme in the Busch Series quite a bit. It's a pretty slick scheme. It doesn't attribute to a notable legend, but it's still a slick-looking scheme to look at nonetheless and have it in my collection. And not to mention, it is Ryan Blaney, so why not? Next is a scheme that gives me traumatizing flashbacks, because it really sucks that this paint scheme is cursed, because it finished second, but hey, of course, about that, a bullshit disqualification. I went from being disappointed that Jimmy came so close to winning, only to be disappointed and devastated that he got disqualified, which was essentially what knocked him out of the playoffs. Not necessarily the wreck at the Coke 0400, but this bullshit disqualification and his bullshit positive test on Corona. God fucking damn it. Why do all the worst things in the world have to happen to Jimmy Johnson? But hey, I'm not going to dwell on it too much. He did, after all, finish second in the Rolex 24 Hours race, so... And not to mention, he finished 5th on his last ever NASCAR race, so I can't complain too much about that, for now at least. I just hope he thrives, at least semi-okay in IndyCar. He already gave himself or he and his 3 colleagues rewarded the team a second place finish, so obviously I can't complain too much about that. So Jimmy's on the right track for decency ever since his Phoenix race. So if he keeps up with that momentum, then he's going to be pinging back on the radar in no time. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this little update. Peace out, and stay safe, stay healthy. By the way, I recently got my vaccine, so I'm just going to wait another month to get my second vaccine, then I should be good. See y'all later for my next videos.